Yeah, Jack's not here. I'm not even gonna try to do his gimmick. It's Monday night. You know what that means. It's time to
It's all
talk
going well.
a little post Raw action. Your Wednesday night crew here on Monday night. We're mixing it up. It's Halloween. Monday's pretending to be Wednesday. That's what our costume is we're pretending it's Wednesday. I'm Justin LaBar. She's Issa. He's Jimmy Korderas. Happy Halloween to all of you celebrating. You should be celebrating. Why would you not? It's a night to go get some free food, as JBL reminds us, to dress up. Yeah. We're all in costume tonight. Issa, what are you?
It was supposed to be a wizard schoolgirl, but we turned that into something different in my stream, and apparently I'm just Britney Spears waiting to get speared one more time by Roman Reigns.
I like it.
So you're Issa. We'll say Issa she's a feeling Usi schoolgirl tonight.
Yeah, I'm an Usi schoolgirl. I like that.
She's an Usi schoolgirl.
Cool.
Jimmy Korderas is rocking history. He is rocking the vintage official SmackDown referee polo, official uniform. Jimmy, yes. I can't believe you took that out of the museum tonight.
No, I fished it out. I took it out of the glass case. Man, it's, you know what, as classic in it as the black and white stripes will always be, this one has a special place in my heart. The blue one, it just, because it differentiated us from the other guys, the Raw brand, and all the other referees and all the other companies out there. We were unique and different. And as much as we all had each other's backs because we were brothers and sisters in stripes, at the same time, there was that friendly rivalry going on there. You know what I mean? And this made us stand out a little more, I think. Even as I say, the referee shouldn't stand out above the talent. You know, we're there to help them tell their story. But at the same time, this made us different from the other guys. That's all.
How come Raw stuck with the black and white ref uniforms and never went to a red and black?
I don't know. That's a good question. I wish I had a good answer for you. But, you know, SmackDown's colors were blue. They were new. They wanted to be different. They wanted to be unique. And I guess that was one of the ways to differentiate it from the other, the Raw brand, I guess.
Fair enough. So Usi schoolgirl.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure that people know that not only is it an honor for me to be doing this with Jimmy wearing that shirt, but Jimmy wouldn't bust out that shirt for Jack Farmer. He busted it out because he knew it was Monday and I was gonna be here filling in. So Jimmy, I adore you. Thank you for giving me that honor.
Oh, thank you, Issa. Of course, you know it's for you.
So SmackDown referee, Usi schoolgirl, and I'm playing a Washington Commanders assistant coach. That's what I'm dressed here as.
Do you have your challenge flag ready and all that sort of stuff?
Challenge flag ready. I got my plays right here.
There you go.
I got the swag of 3 in a row. So if you see a little shoulder shimmy shaking, the LaBar shuffles has been known to have. That's just me riding 3 in a row. It's called a winning streak. It has happened before.
Yeah.
Before we get into Monday Night Raw from Dallas, Texas, let's touch on one news item. I thought this was pretty interesting and kind of has some relevance to tonight, given that we would see the tribal chief. This is coming from WrestleVotes. The Twitter insider has a pretty good track record. Don't know who he is, but he knows something apparently. He's speaking to Give Me Sport, and he basically is telling Give Me Sport that this Sami Zayn with the bloodline, obviously very much over with the crowd, is going longer than creative and anticipated. So long that they are keeping it going, and that's affecting one Kevin Owens. That reportedly the plan was Kevin Owens. That the plan would have been Sami Zayn would have been discarded by the bloodline by now, and that Kevin Owens would have joined his in real life best friend Sami Zayn, and that would have been the next continuation of the bloodline story, and if Sami Zayn's involved with the bloodline. But obviously Sami being an honorary Uso is just over like Rover. You don't pull the plug on that kind of momentum, do you, Issa?
No, you do not. That would not be a very Uzi move of WWE to do right now. Not until at least you get those Uzi t-shirts out and sell the crap out of them. No, I completely agree that Sami Zayn should remain in the storyline that he's in. It would just be, I do miss the presence of Kevin Owens in the show. He was cutting some great promos and having some incredible matches before maybe this change of direction happened, and we don't see him right now. So I do hope they can come up with something different for Kevin Owens to do. But overall, I would not separate Sami Zayn from the bloodline quite yet.
Jimmy, it does feel like, though, to Issa's point, I mean, Kevin Owens, here's a guy who 7-8 months ago was in the main event with a Stone Cold Steve Austin out of retirement. So, here's a guy you definitely don't want to have on the bench for too long. I would still think you could have Kevin Owens be somebody who wants to step up and challenge the tribal chief for his world titles. And you can still have a lot of creative fodder with Sami Zayn, who needs to be Usi. He needs to be an honorary Us, but he also has his friend over here. I feel like there would be some compelling television there.
Yeah, it definitely would be compelling television. This is a unique but great problem to have right now. I mean, like you guys said, this situation with Sami Zayn, he's so over as being so Usi right now that it's working. And I kind of feel bad for Kevin Owens, but at the same time, when the time is right, when you get to that point, you can have Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn together. And that is the reason for Sami to depart and become un-Usi. Could that be a new term? Un-Usi?
It is a term. It is a term. 1000%.
There you go. And maybe that's when they join forces, when the time is right, and he turns on the tribal chief.
Interesting stuff. Obviously, the tribal chief we will get to here in a little bit. He did make a special appearance on tonight's Monday Night Raw. But yeah, it's exciting to think about. Obviously, we have the Crown Jewel event this Saturday, Survivor Series after that, which we know is going to matter more than it seems that it has in past years. Rumble then will be right around the corner. So a lot of opportunity for situations of, can I trust you? Is it every man for himself? What have you? So I thought that news story today of the reported change in plans with KO and Sami Zayn, something to note that could be applied here in the future. Jimmy, we got a super chat. Of course, we always encourage, if you definitely want to make sure you become the fourth man on here, hit that super chat. Dylan is asking, did you wear the same ref shirt? Did you have to clean the same one every night, or did they give you an allotment of a couple for a loop?
No, we had an allotment of a couple because obviously those loops were long. It was basically a 4-day loop. The Raw guys would start on Friday. They do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday they would do Raw. And then we would start on the SmackDown crew. We would start Saturday, Sunday, Monday, house show / live event, and then do our TV on Tuesday. So you needed at least 3 or 4. And that's what we had. And then, but the color did change at one point because it was lighter and then turned darker. So I have them stashed somewhere downstairs. I only bring them out on special occasions. And tonight I thought was a special enough occasion.
We see in sports, guys save, football for their first catch. They save sticks for their first goal or a historic goal, whatever. Did you ever, could being a wrestling fan and a historian like yourself, did you ever take one of your ref shirts that had that was either from a shirt you wore from an iconic match, like a Taker Edge, or a shirt that had a blood smatter? Did you ever just save the bodily fluids and keep it as is?
Not the bodily fluids ones, but I do have the Edge and Undertaker one stashed away in a little box in my crawl space of all places. I don't have it displayed out, but I have it hidden.
It's gonna get eaten by
No. It's like sealed. It's not going anywhere. That's my go-to place for hiding stuff. Anyway. Never mind. I guess I should have added that little part in.
Well, I was going to say what you need you and Audra needed a minute to separate and you go to the crawl space.
No, that's where I stash all my stuff that I need to hide from public view.
You're not in the doghouse. You're in the crawl space.
Yes, exactly. No, the doghouse unfortunately is the garage. But anyway.
Very good. Very good. All right, let's go ahead and jump into Monday Night Raw, coming to you from American Airlines Arena in Dallas, Texas. We kick it off with Bianca Belair up against Nikki Cross. Just picking up right up where Raw left off last week with Nikki Cross returning to her old form, dropping the ASH. We get some distraction, a lengthy distraction at some point in here by Damage Control. Bayley makes an appearance, but ultimately that's not going to matter. Bianca is going to hit the KOD and get the win. So we start off the women's match. I'll start off with our lady on the panel here, Issa. Nikki Cross, first match back again, and her old gimmick, and she gets a loss. Are you okay with that?
I am kind of. I feel like this Nikki Cross version is not about wins and losses. It's just about whatever, I guess, because we haven't really gotten an explanation. But I'm also okay with her going crazy without giving us an explanation. We did see the return of Emma on Friday, and she also lost to Ronda Rousey. It didn't take any significance from the match. I don't expect to see Bianca Belair take a loss here from Nikki, but didn't take away my enjoyment of the match. I thought it was a good match. I just love seeing Nikki come back in this version of her character, and it gives her some new life. But yeah, I don't think that her losing to the Raw Women's Champion, who hasn't been beaten in God knows how long, really hurts her. She still was able to keep up with it. I thought it was a good showing for her.
Jimmy, very Halloween-esque to have the crazy Nikki Cross kicking off the show. What about you on the booking decision here?
Yeah, you stole my thunder there, Issa. That's exactly what I was thinking. I thought, yes, it would have been nice for her first singles match back to be a winning one, but at the same time, she is facing Bianca Belair, who is the champ, and she was able to hang with the champion, and it was a good match. She had a good showing, and as they say in the wrestling business, she was able to get over without going over. And I thought it was a fine showing from her. And as much as I would have liked to have seen a win in her debut match against the opponent that they had chose for her, I didn't think it needed to happen tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think all those points are fair, and I guess I also say, what's the alternative? It's I think it's nice to kind of like pick right up where you left off and last week and have her in a match. That was kind of that did grab my attention. I was like, I didn't know that's how we're starting this. And I guess I probably would have equal gripes if she comes in there and just beats the champion in a non-title match, of course, 5 days before we're supposed to have important premium live event matches. So and then we did see Nikki against some later on backstage, so there is still some shroud of mystery of exactly what are her intentions. We also did see post-match backstage that Asuka and Alexa Bliss, who they came back to help Bianca, who was outnumbered by Damage Control. They back from their injuries that they were sustained because of Damage Control. They go ahead and challenge for a tag team title match, which is going to end up being our main event later on. So they quickly make us realize what the main event's going to be. We'll get to that in just a little bit, which is Alexa and Asuka versus Io and Dakota. They're advertising a split screen backstage sit-down interview between Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley.
I was so mad when they advertised this. I was so glad that that's not what we got, because that's not what I signed up to see.
Yeah, so they show Bobby getting mic'd up, but Brock has not yet arrived. We were supposed to believe he's maybe missed his call time. Well, we come back from commercial. Brock still isn't there. Bobby cuts a quick promo on his side of the screen talking about how he just knows how to expose Brock Lesnar. Whether if they would have fought 20 years ago, he would have exposed him. He's exposed him at Rumble. He's going to expose him again at Saudi Arabia. And then we hear Brock's music hit. Brock is in the arena. He hits the ring, and he said he did not come to Texas to talk and have sit-down split-screen interviews. He came to Texas to do what you do in Texas, which is to give an ass whooping. And so he calls out Bobby Lashley, who comes out, and man, just as you have to think, the two bulls go at it in the aisleway.
Said big meaty man slapping meat.
Yes.
Well, so much meaty men slapping me. The locker room empties. Even Triple H gets out there and is hollering at these two men that if they don't stop now and separate, that the match on Saturday is off. Jimmy, this is the first we've seen of Triple H using his position of power on screen. Obviously, he was on screen a few weeks ago as DX. That was just him being Triple H and DX, but this is him using coming in to inflect some authority in this situation that got chaotic.
And I like that, especially if they don't overdo it. I mean, yes, we used to get the Vince McMahon segment pretty much every week where he would exercise his authority. I like if they keep it to a bare minimum. Only use Triple H when he needs to be needed. Not every week to settle some kind of discrepancy. And tonight, this was a hell of a fight. These guys went at it like two Brahma bulls, for lack of a better term, and having both heels and baby faces coming out, along with security, along with agents, along with officials, everybody trying to break these two apart and still having trouble keeping them apart, made these guys look like total monsters. And if you talk about a match that got a great build for this weekend, this is the way to do it. They got this match. The anticipation for this match is now elevated.
Issa, Bobby called Brock
Yes, I know, a
Lashley
Bobby Lashley
wannabe.
wannabe. I was so offended by that. I got up from my seat when I was doing my watch along. Listen, you guys know my love for Brock. He's one of my favorites, so I can't be unbiased when it comes to talking about Brock. However, I did think we got duped with this match when it happened at Royal Rumble, because you have Brock Lesnar so involved in the storyline with Roman Reigns that we didn't get what some of us waited 10 years to get. I've been waiting for this match, the real match. No title involved. What we saw tonight, what we saw a couple of weeks ago, that's what I want to see from these two guys. I thought this was excellent, and I was offended by the line by Bobby Lashley. So hearing Brock's music hit, I was like, oh, it's on. I automatically knew it was on. And to your point, seeing Triple H out there did make a difference, because we just had a pull apart between the two of them in the last segment. How do you escalate that to make it go like, oh crap, they're for real now, right? You bring out Triple H and separate them. I also appreciate that Triple H, no, wait till the pay-per-view. This is my money match, right? Like, don't do this right now. You have to protect the match and save it for the PLE, whatever we call them nowadays, right? But I just love this. I love the energy from Brock. And if there is a match that I'm the most hype about going into Crown Jewel, it's 1000% this match, because I feel like we didn't get what we wanted from these two beasts going at it. And I do think that we're going to see that this Saturday from them. And I'm so excited.
Yeah, certainly a great deal of mystery from my perspective, at least, going into this match of how it's going to be booked and who's going to go over, because there is no title on the line, so obviously that then frees up a lot of that frees up a lot
make
of
it a no contest. Let them knock both of themselves silly so we get a rematch.
Well, that's what I mean. What's supposed to be next? When's the next time they have Brock? So I'm really interested to see what they we know Brock is all about doing. He'll do business. He does, as long as it makes sense, and he'll do it. So I could see Bobby going over, but only if it makes sense. And so I'll be curious.
Right. And it's interesting that Bobby seems to be the heel in this too, as well. So it almost coming off that way with the way he was talking in the promo segment, part of the interaction and stuff like that. So it's very interesting. And like you said, you can make a case for either one winning this match.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the fact that neither one of them is afraid or is not backing away from the other one, just it's impressive to see. I'm excited. Again, I didn't think what we got. It was good, but it was just scratching the surface, what we saw from them at the Rumble. And I think this Saturday we're really going to see what they can do when no other storylines are involved and it's just the two of them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Again, if you got the super chats, we see them. If it's not about a topic we're on, we will get to them later. So appreciate if you submitted one. We will get to it before the show is over. All right, we got our United States champion Seth freaking Rollins up against Austin Theory in a match that Corey Graves would, I believe, refer to as he said that the kids call it today, a banger. These two guys really went at it. There was one spot though that I had to make note of that I winced. Theory did a vertical suplex onto Rollins where he landed Rollins' neck on Theory's knee. Looked pretty brutal. Seth, after selling it, continued on. So I hope everything's all right. But that did look pretty vicious. But ultimately, though, Seth Rollins will get the win when he hits the curb stomp. So a lengthy match here between two guys who can just go. Jimmy Korderas, Seth Rollins, crowds singing along with them. He's doing a little juke and jive. Seth Rollins looks like he's going back to the babyface side of things, huh?
Or is he? It's just maybe it's just the fact that they're just seeing Austin Theory as being more of a heel and wanting to see him get what's coming to him. I don't know if it's as much as turning Seth Rollins babyface. Maybe he's suffering from the same illness his wife is. They don't want to boo him because he's so entertaining, and that's one of the challenges nowadays for any good heel is to get that old school heel heat, because you can be so entertaining as a heel that today's audience will actually enjoy it, as opposed to going, this guy really rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, Issa, so Seth Rollins has got his crowd reaction, so you can chime in on that, but also, Austin Theory hasn't had a lot of wins on TV as of late. Does that at all hurt his stock, or is he still money in the... It does? Okay.
Yeah, it does, in my opinion, because I didn't feel as invested in this match as I should have been. I thought the in-ring action was great between the two of them, the back and forth, right? But I didn't care because you already feel like you know what's going to happen when Austin Theory is involved in a match, regardless of who he's going against. Now here, he's going against the United States champion, something that I've noticed in regard to the changes when it comes to Triple H, is that you don't see a lot of champions losing on TV anymore, which I respect and appreciate. So on top of that, you also think Seth is winning here. So it makes it very hard to become invested no matter how good the in-ring action was, because like I said, it was a great match. Did I feel into it? Not necessarily, and I do think the losses on Austin Theory's side is what made me feel uninvested, because when Seth Rollins comes out, he obviously commands everybody's attention, but once you find out who he's going against, it's hard to really think that the other person has a chance, especially when it's Austin Theory on his losing streak.
Yeah, Theory, the losses continue to amount, but he does still have that briefcase, which, you know, it's a license to steal at any time. So
right, and I think that's maybe whether you like it or not, maybe that's the logic being displayed here, is that look, he can go on this long losing streak, but at the end of the day, he has this get out of jail free card that he might.
The logic being displayed is that his cashing will fail, regardless of who he go against. He's even afraid of Braun Breaker at this point, because he teased that and he didn't show up.
Yeah. Bit of a more serious super chat. Terry Allen Jr. Saying Raj's friend died and unable to sleep. Wish comfort. Yeah, Terry, I did see Raj note something a few days ago on social about losing somebody important. Don't know the details. I haven't got to talk to him about it, but of course, condolences out to him and his family and friends for whatever loss they are dealing with.
Yeah, absolutely.
We get a breaking news bulletin this Saturday at Crown Jewel. Bray Wyatt will be there. So I believe SmackDown this Friday's tape, right? It has to be, because they're traveling.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know if we'll just get, I don't know what we'll get on SmackDown, but I guess kind of good that we're gonna get whatever the next chapter, this Bray Wyatt story of, you know, we're kind of working through his demons, working through his personalities. We saw Uncle Howdy last week. So interesting choice. Certainly this show, Jimmy, this premium live event certainly already has a pretty stacked lineup of storylines. So an interesting choice for them to say, you know what, we're going to bring Bray over and we're going to give him a certain amount of time. I got to think that there's a poignant reason for this, because there's no shortage of star power already on the show.
No, absolutely. There has to be a reason behind it, other than just showing up and doing a vignette or an Uncle Howdy coming out and doing something. There has to be more to it than that. And again, furthering this storyline and this comeback. But as I said before, you don't want to rush things with him, but at the same time, anytime he does show up, it's got to feel special, and there's got to be a good reason behind it. I can't see them just sending him to Saudi Arabia just to be part of the show.
And Issa, to that point, you know, they obviously are kind of vague always, as they are with Bray and his appearance. There's no match or anything. They said that Bray's going to be there, but that maybe they've decided to creatively add him to the show. Maybe he's going to factor into a finish. You know, we just sat here and debated a minute ago, how does a Brock or Bobby match? You know, maybe he's the key to getting them to the finish line of some match this Saturday.
You bite your tongue, Justin LaBar. Do not involve him on that match. Anything else but that match.
Brock fears Uncle Howdy.
Yeah.
Come on. Anyway, I do think that it is time to move on to, you said it, the next chapter with Bray Wyatt. Whether that is establishing who his first feud is going to be against, or whether that is who is this Uncle Howdy? Does he have a faction? Like, what's going on here? I will say it is time to establish that, because what he did on Friday, I personally enjoyed it, but I did see a couple of people already like, okay, I'm ready to see what's next with him. So I have a feeling that that's what we will get here on Crown Jewel. If he's involved in the finish of a match, yeah, that's a great question. Which match is that going to be? Because you have Logan Paul, Roman Reigns, you have what else do you have there? Brock and Lesnar. We have Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross on a steel cage. So I mean, there's a couple of matches that I can see him become involved. I'm looking at the SmackDown side of things, because there was some kind of report saying that he will be exclusively on SmackDown moving forward. So we'll see what happens. I'm personally ready for the next chapter of his story, whether it is a feud or this whole Uncle Howdy mystery.
Yeah, one thing I hope for, and I think they're doing it, because I mean they. You know, we kind of got a tease of Uncle Howdy a week ago, and then we've got a little promo vignette from an Uncle. It's like they just need to keep things moving, because I think the biggest complaint that I have, and I don't think I'm alone in this, in past Bray Wyatt storylines, is the riddle and rhyme went on for too long without any result, without any substance. Now, part of that may have been you know, we've heard a lot of reports, you know, especially now that Vince is not there. Part of it, I think, might be that it seemed like Bray's vision for what he had of the story and Vince's vision or understanding or interpretation clashed. I think we can look back now at history and kind of see where it started off one way, and then Seth Rollins is beating the Fiend with a ridiculous looking mallet in a steel cage or in a Hell in a Cell. So hopefully creative and Bray are on the same page now. And we need to keep things moving. Okay, so we saw Uncle Howdy. Okay, now we need the next thing. We can't go weeks on end with just repeats and riddle and rhymes. We need to keep this moving in order to not lose momentum. So I hope that's why they're adding Bray to the show, is to keep it moving.
Maybe we get an eventual match between Uncle Howdy and Uncle Usi. I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself.
Stop.
We will see what comes of this Uncle Howdy. All right, up next we see the SUV pull up. The Tribal Chief and his wise men have arrived in Dallas. Roman Reigns in the ring, and he talks about how he's been champion. We're nearing 800 days. I think 792 is what Patrick said. And all that time, Roman has hyped up his opponents. He's hyped up his title defenses, but he refuses to hype up this one. He refuses to hype up a guy who's only had 2 matches in WWE, so he's not going to hype it up. His wise man will hype it up. And Paul Heyman takes the mic, proceeds to note the steel screws that are in Logan Paul's knockout fist. Notes HBK has been training Logan Paul, all the while Roman Reigns not impressed, as he makes his facial expressions remind you of such. But then the Miz interrupts this, and he acknowledges his tribal chief. But he says that Logan's right hand is real. He notes how he knows Logan Paul better than anybody else in the pro wrestling industry, and basically makes an offer of, "Hey, Roman, I'll help you scout and defeat Logan Paul if you can help basically fight off Dexter Lumis for me." Roman Reigns, tired of hearing about everybody talking about the risk of him getting knocked out, he says, "When are we going to talk about Logan Paul getting knocked out?" and proceeds to deliver a Superman punch to the Miz. Issa, I'll go to you first here with the Tribal Chief. How did you? This is the Tribal Chief's. I don't know what we're going to get on Friday, but this is his last live go home before his match against Logan Paul. Did this do the match justice?
Yeah, I thought it was fine. It was. I guess I was a little bit disappointed in seeing The Miz come out later and have a match and be just perfectly okay, because that kind of discredits the knockout by Roman Reigns. But now I'm probably nitpicking and overthinking too much.
Well, they did show The Miz in the trainer's room with a bag of ice later. And,
but he's been faking injuries for the last 10 weeks to get out of matches. So it's not something that I'm gonna believe like, oh my God, Roman hurt him, because he's done this so many times to get out of a match. So I'm just looking. Listen, I watched the show. Okay, that's what you get for paying attention. I thought that Roman's promo was great. I don't think that Roman should be hyping up Logan Paul. I agree with him. It was a promo. Roman looked great, as he always does. He mentioned the Uzi. The crowd was chanting Uzi. Made the T-shirts already. I do not think that Logan Paul has a chance in hell. Am I curious to see the match? 100%. And that's where I stand with this. I think Roman wins, but am I going to watch and see what Logan can do? Yeah.
Yeah, and Jimmy, that we talked earlier about Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar, and we all agree, it could go either way. Either guy could win, and how do you do it? This one, again, as you said, I think 99.9% chance Roman Reigns is walking out as your champion. But there still is, again, the question and intrigue of how does it happen? I mean, again, Roman understands good business, and he understands the value of Logan Paul in WWE. But at the same point, this is a guy who is only in his 3rd match, going up against the guy who's getting ready to approach 800 days as world champion. So how much do you give Logan Paul and trying to continue to legitimize him to your WWE audience? But of course, you don't want to do anything to tarnish the 800 days that Roman Reigns has been champion.
That's the challenge, because look, I know people could make an argument for Logan Paul because he's such a celebrity and he's got such a following that people say, well, yes, you'll get more eyes on the product and that sort of thing. But at the same time, you run the risk of alienating the audience you already have, who see Logan Paul as Roman said tonight in his promo, outsider. So but to that point, like Issa said, I am curious to see the match. I want to see how it turns out, and I want to see how they creatively get to the ending of this, which, like you said, 99.9%, I believe that Roman is going over. I can't see the long-term benefit or even short-term benefit of having a Logan Paul with the championship right now, especially when you're invested so many years into a Roman Reigns and this storyline of the bloodline with the Usos and his family lineage. So I think this is just I want to hope and say a one-off to gain some eyes on the product that they may not otherwise get. But really, I don't see Logan Paul coming out of this with the championship, either one of them.
Well, it's a perfectly timed one-off because it's a match, again, on paper. Everybody knows, okay, Logan Paul's not winning the world title right now. He's not going to be the one that beats Roman Reigns reign. But it's also marquee enough that it's like, man, we need a marquee for the Saudi show. It does, it does that. So, it's that's there. And then I'll be curious what we do get on what I think is going to be a taped SmackDown. I wonder.
It was taped already.
Did they already tape? Okay. Well, I have not read.
They taped it last Friday. I haven't heard any spoilers either, but I do know they taped it on Friday.
I haven't either, so I'm getting ready to fantasy book something, but I don't know if. But what I wondered if Roman would give Sammy the night off or something, because Sammy doesn't travel to those Saudi shows. So if they're going to have the bloodline get involved and help, and be a factor, Sammy's become such a big part of I think in storyline they need to give some kind of reason why he wouldn't be there.
Yeah, it felt like they teased that tonight when Roman said that he had Sammy and Jay out there starting to rebuild the piece and becoming more oozy, and you saw him come out alone, which we've only seen this from him also at Clash at the Castle when so like the Usos didn't travel to the UK with him. So I did think that there was something that teased that what you're mentioning with him coming out alone and mentioning that these guys were out in the wild doing their whole healing therapy to become oozy.
Sure. And just again to the chat, please don't, if you did read the spoilers, don't put them on the chat because some people don't want to be spoiled. So, all right. Up next, Damian Priest and Judgment Day out to the ring. Priest going to get singles action against Carl Anderson, who's got Gallows and AJ Styles out there on his side. Of course, Carl Anderson last week got lost to Finn Balor on account of Rhea Ripley coming in and getting a low blow in. Week before that, Dominic Mysterio had a big win. So certainly the Judgment Day racking up their wins here. So Anderson's going to get one back for his side. He's going to get a quick roll-up win on Priest, but before he can even celebrate, Judgment Day's in the ring. Rhea once again low blowing Gallows, and Rhea standing tall, challenging the men to hit her. They don't, of course. So that begs the question, and it ties into a super chat that we just got a moment ago from Stephen Marcachilli, is eventually the OC, they have to get a woman on their side, right, to even the numbers and even it out. Issa, I'll go to you. Is there any woman that immediately comes to mind that needs to be on the side of the OC to take on Rhea?
Yeah, right now, Nikki Cross. I think that she has that gimmick going on of craziness, and I don't care. I just want to hurt people. So I think Nikki Cross will be a great addition.
Jimmy.
Interesting. Yeah, if Edge was still a part of the storyline, I would say Beth. Beth makes the most logical sense, but would Beth join in along without her husband? That's the only difference. The only thing.
Yeah, all interesting avenues to go here, but this week we have, obviously it's going to be on Saturday. It's going to be 3-on-3 Rio. Of course, again, it's going to be the X Factor on the outside. I got to think as we then go towards
Can they hire someone for SmackDown? Because Shayna Baszler would also be an awesome addition.
Ooh,
we could, yeah.
Interesting.
Perfect.
My only thing with, Shayna could work.
No, I like Shayna, but the problem is that they now started teasing Shayna working with Ronda, and I've been to see that for a while, so I wouldn't want them to split that up. But I feel like Shayna has OC vibes to her.
I'm trying to think, is there any female that has like a tie to anybody in the OC, like a
Dana Brooke? Did you remember those segments they did together? The dog.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had forgotten, but thanks for jogging my memory.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
On that. All right. Well,
Oh boy.
but I gotta say, I said this again last week. I'll say it again. Rhea Ripley. She just, I mean, all Judgment Day looks good, but Rhea just looks like an absolute star.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will tip of the hat that I'm not wearing to Dominic Mysterio, who seems to be finding his way in that group. He's definitely excelled.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the only critique that I have is that Judgment Day keeps taking losses. However, they end up looking badass after these losses, but at some point, you're going to start seeing them and going, yeah, they're just going to lose, and then Rhea is going to come in and kick everybody's ass. And at some point, you have to stop that and start making Judgment Day feel as important as they feel, because they're on every show. They've been getting a lot of time. They're getting a lot of promos, but they're not getting a lot of wins.
Well, no, I mean, again, last week, Finn got the win on Anderson. The week prior to that, Dom got the win. I mean, they're getting some. I mean, it's I think it is a delicate balance, and I think right now we're there. I mean, so I think this has got the makings for Survivor Series.
We don't count Dominic beating AJ Styles. LaBar, please. Stop.
Yes, we do.
No,
we do.
Oh.
I forgot about it, like you forgot about the Dana Brooks segment. Okay.
It's in my record book. Dominic Mysterio beat.
There's a nerve hit somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, pushing buttons.
There you
All
go.
right. JBL comes out and cuts a promo on Halloween. He cuts a promo on going around asking for free food and being woke, and just this entire old man yelling at the clouds type of promo. But I laughed my ass off, I have to admit. He introduces Baron Corbin. Corbin comes out. Corbin starts to cut a promo, and he says, "I'm telling the truth." And then, of course, is the bat signal for R-Truth to come out, dressed as a cowboy. JBL doesn't like it. Truth making note that Corbin and JBL are in costumes, which they did not appreciate. And ultimately, Corbin is going to lay out R-Truth. So all of a sudden, a great resurgence of using R-Truth each week on Raw, which, I mean, who doesn't love a little R-Truth comedy, right?
No, of course. He adds so much to it. And to jump back a little bit as well, too, Baron, obviously JBL, we know what he can do with a microphone in his hand. He had the crowd in the palm of his hand when he was putting Texas over so huge, and then just turned the switch on him, and you could see them turning against him. And he's just a master at it. And Baron Corbin is so underrated on the microphone. I think he's really good with the mic in his hand. And R-Truth is someone that you can use to help get these new stars over to the next level. And even if you do use a little bit of comedy, R-Truth is just good enough that he can do both comedy and also at the same time look legitimate enough to get somebody else over.
Yeah. Issa, what's your pulse on Baron Corbin paired with JBL? I haven't got to talk to you about this at all.
I'm not feeling it yet, but I think it has potential. It's not something that perks me when I see it right now. I'm still not used to it. Every time I hear JBL's music, I go, oh yeah, I forgot he's with Baron Corbin now. I need to start associating them together more often. A little bit of a missed opportunity. I was hoping that R-Truth would show up and be ready for his match against Grayson Waller, and somebody will remind him that that's tomorrow, so you could plug in NXT. Would have been a nice touch, since he is going to be in NXT tomorrow. But overall, I'm never going to be mad at seeing R-Truth on my screen. I've been appreciating seeing him in these kind of segments instead of chasing after the 24/7 championship.
I'm a fan of trying to use JBL to give somebody a rub. I'm a fan of Baron Corbin in the sense of I think his size and athletic ability. Corbin does that spot. But when he slides out the ring, goes over the ring post and gets back in, and I think he gets a lot of hate from online community that whatever. But I will say my critique is I need them to define what lane he's in. Like on the one hand, we have JBL saying he's a modern wrestling god, and I can get behind that for all the things I just said, the athleticism and Corbin's skills there. But then he's like playing the money gimmick, so he's rich, but I need a more defined lane. I'm not saying he needs to start dressing like JBL or needs to be, but it still does seem like they're not quite sure where they want to be, and I need that to get a little bit more defined for this to start clicking more for me.
No, I understand, and still at this point, I think JBL is overshadowing or overshining Baron Corbin at this point, and it's hard to come out from behind that shadow because let's be honest, JBL does cast a large shadow, and yes, he will help Baron Corbin probably get to that next level that he needs to get to, but at the same time, at the moment, he's a bigger star and.
Well, people have to remember, JBL was on color commentary for so many years, and if you have a guy that has the ability to stay on color commentary in that position for as long as he did, that means that you have the skills for 2 or 3 hours straight to be on a live mic, to be quick, to be sharp, and so then when you give him, say, okay, go fill 2 minutes and do this promo, even if it's a promo to ultimately put over Baron Corbin, it's gonna be a powerful promo because JBL doesn't know how to miss on the mic. So to your point, Jimmy, that's a hard, like, it's almost like you want him to talk because that's a strength, and you want him endorsing Corbin, but then Corbin gets on the mic, and it wasn't that Corbin's promo was bad, but there's nothing he's gonna say that's going to rise to the level of what JBL just did.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
So we'll keep seeing what the long-term plan is here. But hey, JBL cutting promos on Halloween and R-Truth as a cowboy, no problems there.
Right.
All right. Well, it wouldn't be a Halloweenish episode if we didn't have some pumpkins and things getting thrown around. It's time for our trick or street fight between Riddle, who's out there dressed as I guess we call it Brozekiel, Elias on his side, and then we have Otis and Chad Gable doing their SNL impersonation of the classic skit. If you haven't seen it, when you're done listening to this podcast, go watch on YouTube, because if you haven't seen it, this was totally over your head here. But it's a classic skit between Patrick Swayze and the late, or I guess they're both the late Patrick Swayze and the late Chris Farley doing the Chippendales skit. And that's what Otis and Gable do, thrusting their way to the ring. I'm not going to do the play-by-play of this match. There's a candy corn kendo stick. There's pumpkins. There's tables. There's worms. The dancing worm. Ultimately, Riddle's going to hit an RKO for the victory. Issa, Riddle's playing Brozekiel, but shouldn't Riddle have dressed up as Randy Orton?
Yes. Yes, he should have. However, I popped for this. Not as hard as I popped for Otis and Chad Gable. Made my entire night. I was almost in tears watching them, and it was a fun match. It was what it was supposed to be. We get it every Halloween, but the highlight was definitely Chad Gable and Otis here. Go out of your way to watch this. It was so much fun.
Jimmy, how many trick or street fights have you refereed in your days?
I don't remember how many, but they've always been kind of fun to a certain degree. And tonight was fun for me, not only for the throwback to the Saturday Night Live skit there, but also because the RKO was performed on a pumpkin head. And those of us who have been around in WWE have a friend that is still there that works there, whose nickname is Pumpkinhead, and just the fact that he did the RKO on the Pumpkinhead, I had to text him right away and said, "Hey, good to see you on Raw tonight."
That's not Chimmel, is it?
No, believe it or not, he's one of the merchandise.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, you never miss an opportunity to get one on Chimmel there.
Oh no, Chimmel! If it was Chimmel, I'd call him out. Worse than Pumpkinhead, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's a Flyers fan to boot.
Exactly.
All right, so not much more analysis is needed on this one. Riddle gets the victory here. All right, up next we get Miz versus Mustafa Ali. Of course, there was a backstage earlier, as we alluded to. Miz icing his jaw. Ali saying, "Oh, it's a shame you're trying to get out of this match. It's going to happen tonight." Of course, all this meanwhile, Miz has this match. There is still this lingering 60-minute style sit-down tell-all interview that Byron Saxton has conducted with Johnny Gargano, where Johnny is going to tell us all why Dexter Lumis is continuing to stalk and attack Miz. So Miz has this match with that looming over him, if you will. And even insofar in the match, at one point when he's down outside the ring near the barricade, Dexter even attacks Miz briefly before security chases Dexter Lumis off, and that's going to then transition not too long after into Ali hitting the 450 splash. I don't really think there's much more to a win for Ali, but I think at this point I'm just going to go right into the Gargano tell-all, which comes out after this. So it's WWE investigates. Saxton sits down with Gargano. Let me try to sum this up here. Gargano proceeds to tell us that he's fond of Dexter Lumis. Dexter Lumis became part of his NXT family. Then that all fell apart when Lumis was lost his job. He fell in hard times. They're showing this dramatic reenactment. Lumis was a street corner artist just trying to make a buck. The Miz comes along and the Miz kind of takes advantage of that, and it was killing Lumis's spirit. Then when Gargano comes to return to Raw back in August, he overhears a conversation that he records. We hear the audio. It's the Miz basically saying to Lumis, "You're a little snug on that sleeper," and basically alluding to that Miz was paying Lumis to stage these attacks. And then eventually, somewhere along the way, things went awry, and Miz probably stopped paying Lumis, and that's why Lumis now is out for blood to get the Miz. And when Saxton goes, "Why would the Miz do all this?" Gargano spins the web of Miz is a wannabe celebrity, and he wants to have stalkers and paparazzi, and wants to have this image. So that's where we are. That is what we were told. The reason is for Dexter Lumis and his psycho stalking habits on the Miz. Issa, are you buying it?
No, I don't appreciate Johnny snitching here. Where I'm from, you don't do that no matter what. So, that wasn't very oozy of him to be snitching like that. Also, not very oozy of him to try to block Dexter from making some money. If it was a business deal, let Dexter make his money, Agreed, I agree, Dylan. Johnny snitching is his new name for me. Cannot be trusted ever again. That's where I stand with this.
Jimmy, your thoughts?
I don't know. I will give him credit for thinking outside the box on this one. And, the thing about Miz wanting to be a celebrity, at least there's a little realism there in that. But at the same time, I'm not buying it yet. There's something about this. And I hate to jump back again. We kind of glazed over Mustafa Ali really quickly. Good win for him, but at the same time, there's something about Mustafa that's not clicking as well.
Because he's the latest victim of the 50-50 booking club. He lost last week. Maybe, he won the week before. So he's literally gone back and forth with winning and losing. Yeah. So you don't know what to believe of him.
Maybe that's it. But and then back to this whole story, this tell-all by Johnny Gargano. I don't know. I need more from this.
Let me ask you this, Jimmy. This whole Dexter, at first they tried to really disguise it as like a fan was jumping, like, you didn't actually know. They were so subtle with the way they shot the very first one. But this has been going on since July. I literally think this story started like a week after Triple H officially took his new role, if I recall. Do you think that this is one of these stories that when they started it, they did not have the answer, or did you think that do you think when they started that they knew that this was eventually what they were going to reveal to be part? Like what do you like? Because this feels to me like this did start, and they had to come up with it on the fly. Like this was not the perfect. In a perfect world in wrestling booking, you have this grand story, you have the finish already known, and then you work backwards. I don't think they had the finish known and work backwards here. My opinion.
It definitely feels that way, because it almost feels like they said, let's start this. Let's see how the crowd reacts. Let's see where we can go with this. And we'll go from there. We'll call it out there, so to speak. You know what I mean? With this story, usually, guys will go into a match or girls will go into a match and say, hey, what do you want to do during the match? Hey, here's the finish, but we'll call it out there to get to the finish. And that's almost how this story feels like. They're calling it on the fly as they go.
I mean, the only thing I'll say,
underwhelming reveal as well. Like, you expect so much more. The mystery was built up so much that you're like, okay, he's paying him. That's it.
I mean, the one thing I will say, to play devil's advocate to myself here, the one thing I will say in favor of this is all intentional was the Lumis thing started at the end of July. So obviously Triple H knew that he was bringing him back, and then obviously wheels were in motion. He knew he was bringing Gargano back a few weeks later, and obviously Gargano and Dexter linked together in NXT. That was under Triple H's watch, that creative happened. So maybe he knew, okay, I'm bringing Dexter back and I'm going to bring Johnny back, and we're going to somehow make it all tie together. So maybe maybe that's the argument, but this does kind of feel like they sat around the writer's room somewhere and they threw some darts against the wall, and this is where they landed.
But I will give Johnny Gargano, thumbs up for committing to this bit, especially with those reenactment scenes and all that stuff. It was entertaining in that regard, at least, anyways.
Thanks, Ricky, for just confirming me. This started right when
Cool.
H came into a spot there.
In case you guys are not in with the inside joke, Byron Saxton is Alfred's daddy. Just so you guys know. In case you do a podcast with him, feel free to bring it up.
Okay.
Fair enough. Roger also had a $2 super chat earlier. Said awesome show tonight. Loved the Johnny segment. So
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. If you liked it, you liked it, man. That's great. Like I said, maybe I'm not buying the story, but at the same time, I enjoyed the presentation of it.
The reenactments were fun. The only thing I'll say, and I know why they wouldn't necessarily do this. I wish they would have leaned. It would have been really funny. And Jimmy, my nod is to you at this one. It would have been really funny if the reenactments were shot like silhouette style, like Dark Side of the Ring.
Oh,
just like a little nod to like we know subconsciously this is what people are thinking if we do it this way.
Right. Oh, that's tremendous.
To take Dexter losing his job is like one of the great dark moments in the business's history.
Right.
Anyways, all right, main event time. Women's tag team titles on the line. Their champions Io Sky and Dakota Sky. Io Sky and Dakota. They're going to defend them up against Asuka and Bliss. I got to say the crowd here was very, very dead for most of this match. We finally get the holy shit chant when Bayley and Bianca, who are the bystanders on the outside, they get into a brawl and they do a belly to Bayley or Bayley to belly, whatever its version is, into like some tables and some tech area. So that gets the crowd up and chanting. And then we're going to see Twisted Bliss onto Io. So we do have new champions. So the crowd does react. We have new champions. I guess the new champion certainly makes it then worthy to be in the main event spot. Jimmy, I gotta be honest though, I'm with all these ladies. I like all of them kind of individually, but Damage Control, there was a novelty of like, oh, these three girls are together and they're rehired and kind of surprised at SummerSlam. Asuka and Bliss and Bianca seems like kind of an odd table at the cafeteria. I'm not feeling all of this.
I don't know why, not just with the women, but there just seems to be, everybody has to be part of a faction. Everybody has to be part of a group. It seems to be more of that than individuals, like individual tag teams or even like Bianca is your champion. Now she's aligned with Asuka and Alexa Bliss. She stands out. She's an amazing performer in the ring. And does she need to be part of a group? And it just feels that way, that everybody needs to be part of a group nowadays. And I think it's filtered over into this as well. And like you said, Asuka and Alexa Bliss are both great individual talents. Do they need to be a tag team? Probably not. I was kind of thinking that you could make an argument that if the Kai and Sky, as I like to call them, retained, then you have a reason to believe that Bayley may beat Bianca, and then that group, Damage Control, now are in charge of the women's division because Bayley is the Raw Women's Champion and Kai and Sky are the women's tag team champions. I think they missed an opportunity here that because they formed this faction, to make this faction really stand out.
Issa, was it time to take the tag titles off of Sky and Kai?
No, these tag titles are really getting around since they came back from that tournament. Like, it feels like we just had the tournament end and we already crowned 3 different teams as champs. I will say the in-ring was great. I loved it. And I think Asuka and Alexa do work great as a team. Do I want to see them as a team? I'm not sure. But if you don't have anything else for them, they do deserve to be on the show. Also, for positives, I love that the women open and close the show tonight. Always get big props for me. I love the spot outside between Bayley and Bianca. I'm actually
you mean you're not upset that they weren't on at 9:30?
No.
Or 10. They were 10:30.
Yeah, or 10:30.
Exactly, right? I love the spot outside. We were talking about matches that we are hyped. I don't know what level Bailey and Bianca plan on taking it at Crown Jewel, because we've seen them in Hell in a Cell. We've seen them in a ladder match. I'm actually fearing for this last woman standing match between the two of them. I am excited. However, right, that's where the butt is coming in. When Damage Control got introduced at SummerSlam, it felt like such a huge deal. And it felt like we were going to see them holding all of these belts the way that we saw Bianca and Alexa and Asuka doing that tonight. And now, with what you said, it takes a lot of maybe Bailey's really going to do it this time in Saudi Arabia. I kind of like don't know anymore. I don't know that it was the time. It just feels like Damage Control it's just another faction. They don't feel like they're dominant or important at this point, and you took away the only thing that they had going for them. So we'll see where this whole story goes, but it was awesome. The match itself was great.
So let's close on that. Let's close on the fact that obviously they're building towards last woman standing match between Bailey and Bianca for the title at Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And again, for any of our more casual fans, the last man or last woman standing match is there's no pinfalls, no submission, no DQ, no count out. The only way to win is by, incapacitating your opponent to where they can't answer a standing 10 count. They can't get up before 10. So it can be anywhere in the venue. So those matches are traditionally, they're like a Hell in a Cell. They're traditionally kind of a match that you would, put as like the final stage of a blow off between two people. It's been a blood feud. You need an escalated level of violence, so to speak. This will be interesting, especially with the added layer. We're in Saudi Arabia. They've obviously they've made a lot of progress in the years of we've seen the women compete. They still alter the dress code a little bit to be to be respectful of the culture and what have you there. But I guess what I'm getting at is this could be a very violent women's match in theory on paper. Yeah. This might be the most violent of the female performances that the Saudi Arabia crowd has ever got. I'll be very curious to see this one and how the crowd reacts as well, because we've seen these Saudi shows, right? These shows are kind of like, the fans that are closest to the ring and ringside, they tend to be maybe special VIPs or of a higher class or something. Maybe not necessarily but then the more hardcore fans are dispersed throughout the venue. So I'll just be very interested to see facial reactions and noise reactions to seeing some of these women do what they might do to each other.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. When you talk, we've talked earlier tonight about the Bobby Brock match being something interesting. This is going to be very interesting to watch. I'm curious to see, like you said, maybe yes, in both, what they actually do in the match and how the crowd is going to react to seeing this.
Let me ask you
this. I mean, you feel like they have to take it there, right? I'm sorry to interrupt, but don't you think they have to take it there? Because we just seen Bailey and Bianca in such different levels of like hardcore style matches that it's just like you cannot go out there and like really work this match especially after that ladder match that we just saw them had at Extreme Rules. And I still remember the Hell in a Cell match. I actually was a big fan of that match. I know that one happened a while back before Bailey's injury, but it was a really good match. So it just really make you wonder, what are they going to do here? And like Justin said, how is the crowd going to react to it? Are they going to love it? I think, didn't we see a women's elimination chamber in Saudi Arabia, or am I making that up in my brain? Maybe I might be. I'm gonna look it up.
The chamber was. I think you did. I think you're right, because the chamber match. I remember the chamber event last year on the Road to Mania was in Saudi Arabia. Because I remember saying, normally to me the Saudi shows are kind of like an inconvenience detour. But I was happy they at least did the Saudi show on the Road to Mania and had chamber, which at least. So if they had a men's chamber match, I have to imagine they had a women's. Because the men's chamber,
there was the elimination chamber event was in Saudi Arabia.
Because the last one was in Saudi. Because the men, that was the famous spot with Austin Theory and Brock, where Brock F5'd him off the top of the pod.
Right.
Yeah, it'd be interesting too. What ends this show Saturday? Because if you're going into Saturday, if you kind of feel on paper, okay, everybody kind of believes like Roman's retaining. You don't, do you need to have Roman and Logan Paul in the show, or do you end the show with a match that is more unpredictable, like this for the women, or like Brock and Bobby, or
if that's the case, then Roman opens, I would assume, but
yeah. All right. All things that make Saturday fun.
Roman is always the
think
main
about.
event of my heart. I just want everybody to know that.
Yes.
In my heart, Roman is the main event.
You're the juiciest of the oosiest.
What?
Oh, there's some T-shirts ready for making here.
Yeah.
Am I oozy enough?
There's a revenue split coming between Issa and I. We're gonna be opening, we're gonna be doing a joint pro wrestling tease.
There you go.
All right. I don't know.
Oh, instead of ref and rant, I'm ref and oozy.
Yes. I'm gonna start rating your reffing rants on a scale of 1 to Uzi. I'll comment every day and be like, this was 10% Uzi, 20% Uzi.
Oh, tremendous. Well, I can't wait now.
Well, rather than my shtick was always the reality checks. Now it's gonna be the Uzi checks.
Oh.
All right. All right. Final thoughts. It's time to clock out. Final thoughts. Issa, you go first.
I thought it was an enjoyable episode of Monday Night Raw. I didn't know how hard they were going to try, with it being Halloween, etc. But I didn't mind. I love Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley, and it really helped me get even more hype for their match.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy?
Absolutely agree. And as far as the Halloween thing, Halloween being the same night as Monday Night Raw, they did their Halloween bit, but they didn't let it overtake the show, which I enjoyed very much.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, in past years, we probably would have seen 24/7 title would have been a trick or treat, some type of adventure. So, yeah. I mean, again, overall, kind of like what I said last week, wasn't the most exciting of the Raws, but I think that they did accomplish as a go home show. They did a lot of good things to, as we've said here, because we've ended many of our opinions with kind of open ended questions of what we're going to get Saturday, which that's a good thing.
Right.
So.
Yes.
Programming notes. So obviously, as noted earlier, SmackDown has been taped. It's airing Friday. It was going to be an FS1 because of the World Series, but because of the rainout that happened tonight in the World Series, now that's not going to be the case. So Friday's SmackDown will be on Fox. So make sure your DVRs or whatever the case may be are up to date. So that's going to be Friday, and then Saturday's Crown Jewel. I don't know who the post show is. I know it's not me Saturday. I am tied up, but check here on Wrestling Inc.
Right.
No matter, it shall be an interesting event to talk about. I'll be back with these two on this Wednesday after Dynamite. Ought to be fun for all different reasons. Jimmy, give the plugs for Jimmy Korderas and your universe.
Well, like you said, you can catch me here on Wrestling Inc. After Raw and after Wednesday night's Dynamite, AEW Dynamite. And also you can catch me Monday to Friday on all my social media platforms or anti-social media platforms as I do my ref and rants. And again, they're meant to be fun, constructive criticism. Okay, look, I can't even speak English, and I'm claiming to be someone who can. And just having a lot of fun and really having a lot of fun with this group here.
Issa?
You guys can find me everywhere here on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Also, go subscribe to my YouTube channel. I do watch-alongs for pretty much all the big shows. I do Raw, NXT, Dynamite, and SmackDown, and pay-per-view. So if you want to hang out with me while I watch wrestling and say some crazy stuff, subscribe.
Acknowledge her. I'm at Justin LaBar across the socials. Again, catch me again Wednesday night with this crew after Dynamite. Friday mornings on Busted Open with Dave LaGreca and Thunder Rosa. It is Spar with LaBar. That's going to do it. Thanks to everybody in the chat, super chat or free. We appreciate it. Thanks to all of you that are checking us out after the fact in the archives, whether you're watching the video to see our Uzi schoolgirl teacher or whether you're listening to the audio only, whatever the case may be, we appreciate it. Like, subscribe, tell a friend, hit the tweet button, let us know where in the world you are. Carmen Sandiego, how you listen to us, how do you like it? He's Jimmy Korderas. There you go. He's Jimmy Korderas. She is Issa the Demon Diva. I'm LaBar. Be good. Good night.